and welcome to this week's video. We're going to be talking about the suspension mountings, showing you some of the repairs under the floor on the other side, or the suspension mounting area that needed repair, and also unboxing and showing you some of the parts I managed to buy from the US rather than the UK versions, which seemed in very poor condition. First of all, I'd just like to give a shout out to John at To The Garage. It was quite brave of him to put up the issues that he had when he was trying to repair and replace a door lock, trapping his hand. Just goes to show that it's very, very easy to injure yourself working on your own in the garage. It does raise that issue with me. I constantly are always looking out. I've had a fire in the garage, for example. I destroyed an XKR through welding the floor panel and setting light to the interior. I mentioned it before, I think, once. And so yeah, please be safe and, you know, still have fun, of course, but safety is very important. Never get underneath a car that's just on a jack. Always use axle stands. And then try and keep things local, you know, handy, such as fire extinguishers, that kind of thing. Yeah, and that was it really. So, apart from that, safety message from the health and safety team. Let's get on and show you what I've been up to in the last week or so. All I've done so far is put it in a bath of citric acid and bicarb soda and a little bit of soap. And left it in for a couple of days, and look, it's challenges. I can't get it all under the, I only made up 2 litres and it's not quite enough, but it did come up pretty well actually, so it is usable. But there's a good chance I'm going to get a deal on a pair from the US, so they're sort of still in, they're still painted black, the original painting from the factory, so there's sort of zero corrosion on those, so I might not actually use this one. But I thought I'd give it a go anyway, see whether or not this sort of my version of evapor rust type stuff. I say my version, I just copied off somebody off of YouTube, but seems to do the business. I'm just going to have to spray it with something, maybe WD-40 or something, just so that it doesn't, not WD-40, 3-in-1 oil, just so that it doesn't corrode. Obviously then have to degrease it if I want to paint it, but I'll just do that for now. Okay, after spending some time looking on places like eBay in the UK, I came to the conclusion that the only available subframes were obviously in the UK, rusty, been sandblasted, some painted, some powder coated, but suffering a little and then cleaned up, and they ranged in price from a couple of £100 to £560, I think was the top one I looked at. Then a kind subscriber dropped me an email and suggested I look in the US, and so I looked on ebay.com, and there were loads of subframes, etc., but they're still in their original sort of factory paint, still in good condition. So I ordered subframes. I also ordered the suspension mounting points. Although I've got one good one and one bad one, I could get 2 good looking ones from the US for about $60 plus shipping. So overall, I ordered a subframe and 2 mounting points. That came in at, and it was about $110 shipping. One was $190 and the other was $60, I think. In total it came to $370, which equates to around 280 quid. And then I had to pay another £80 import duty and VAT. So the total came to £365. So I haven't looked in here yet, it only arrived just now. Let's see whether it was worth the money and the weight. FedEx, it was shipped by FedEx. Their online website is inaccurate, shall we say. It was telling me it was going to arrive Thursday, telling me it's going to arrive Friday, telling me it arrives Monday, Tuesday. Eventually it arrived on the Wednesday. But so if you look at the web page, anything on the left hand side where it says it's going to arrive today, ignore that. Look at the right hand side and look at the detail. That'll tell you when it's going to be delivered. This package was shipped on the 6th, arrived on the 14th, but it arrived in the UK within 72 hours. But it arrived in Stansted, then it got shipped to Feltham, then it went all the way around the M25 to Dartford, then it went up to somewhere in Milton Keynes, then it went down to Southampton, and then it got delivered to me. Bit of a tour this has been on. Took longer to ship it in the UK than it did to get it from the US to the UK. Anyway, let's hope it lives up to my expectations. Well, not too bad. Yeah, you can see, still got the original paint. It's slightly worse down here, maybe. Hopefully you can see that. But still, yeah, this is just a little bit of surface rust. Nothing like the bit of wire just caught me. Well, nothing like the serious amount of rust I've got on mine. And these are those two extra points here, mounting points for the HID headlights. So yeah, you know, needs a little clean up, but nowhere near as bad as any I've seen on the UK eBay site. So and even the mounts are pretty good condition too. Now there is this notice here which tells you about the car, and so it was a 2003 XKR 4.2 SC supercharged. Mileage was 69,630. So yeah, pretty happy with that, I guess. You know, you're not going to get one from 2003 in that kind of condition from the UK at all. So that's good. And then we've got these two. You know, you've seen the condition of mine. Yeah, you've seen the condition of mine. These look, you know, almost factory fresh. So these are from a 2000 car, but look, there's no rust on that at all. Look, they're superb. So I was going to buy one of those, a brand new one, for £150. So to get all of this for £365, which is, you know, is a fair amount of money, but yeah, I'm okay with that. I'm happy with that. So yeah, all good. Let's clean it up, put some paint on it, and get it in the car. Okay, so I just thought I'd show you what it looked like after 15 minutes in total of using just using a wire brush on a wheel. So as you can see, there is, you know, there is a tiny little bit of rust, just surface rust. Moving down, yeah, there were a couple of little bits where I tried a bit harder to clean up. A little bit on the edge. You know, nothing really, nothing at all. These were probably the bits that had the most, but you know, that's just nothing. If you compare it to my original, you know, this is obviously the underside. Still need to do a little bit. There's a few little bits I haven't quite got to, but yeah, I'm going to do another couple of minutes on here, and then use some rust converter type stuff on these bits, and then put some paint on it because I don't want it to rust at all. But yeah, compare that to this. Night and day. So yeah, happy with that. New one's going to go back on. I'm quite happy with that. This is going in the bin. Well, in the metal recycling bin, I should say. I did notice that there's sort of like nutserts, well, one missing and one bigger, and in fact in my when I took this off there was actually a nut and bolt. So yeah, that's obviously been replaced in the past. You can see I've cut through, there's like two layers. This is the inner layer and this is the outer layer, and you can see that around this circle where the plug was, the metal had rotted away. What I've done is I've cut out this piece, which will go in there, something like that. It does fit a bit better than that. There you go. I can't quite get it in the right place. So that's going to go in there, and then after that I'm going to make a piece of metal that goes, cut out a piece of metal that goes all the way around the outside and fills in the missing gap. So we'll have two thick layers of I think that's about 18 gauge there. So yeah, we'll have that back as it was. Okay, so following on from the small piece that I put in here, I've now put a much bigger piece over the top of it. So we've got twice the thickness because I plug welded this to it as well. Now the question is, at this point, this needs to go about here somewhere. A great big hole, plug a hole in here. It's the same on both sides. I'm just wondering what the hell it's there for. Is it something to do with manufacturing, where the chassis is mounted to like a trolley that runs in a rail and moves throughout the factory as the body gets built up? It's about the only thing I can think of, really. I could just put a small hole. It could be so that you've got access to put some wax oil type stuff, but you don't need a huge great big hole, 50mm wide. If any of you know, please leave a comment so that I can decide whether to cut a great big hole or not. I have got a cutter, and I did mark where the centre was before I put that up there, but is it worth cutting out a great big hole, or should I just put a small hole in and use that to put the rust protector treatment, or do I cut the big hole and put the big plastic bung back in? Leave a note in the comments, and I'll look forward to reading them. So that's it for this side, and probably enough for this video too. I do have to get on and prep all the rest of the suspension so that I can paint it. Now that I've got the new subframe, etc., yeah, I'll be good to put all that back together again. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.